Alrighty, and welcome back to another episode of the Minot Sports Podcast. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back again in the KMSU podcast room in Swain Hall on Minot State Campus. I'm your host, Cole Clementich. Proud to bring you guys another episode talking Minot sports in and around the area, and we want to give a big shout out to KMSU TV and Radio for their studio sponsorship, providing us the equipment and facilities to get behind the mic each and every time we can. Once again, big thanks to KMSU TV and Radio. We got a special show on tap for you guys today. The National Outdoor Track and Field Meet just took place recently in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and here with me we have a couple of Minot High student athletes that had the opportunity to compete with other athletes around the country. We have Grayson Schaeffer and Kobe Irmen joining us. Boys, how you doing today? Thanks for being on the show today.
I'm doing really good, and we're just appreciative that you reached out and had us on the show today.
Yes, sir. Doing very well.
Awesome. Well, hey, happy to have you guys on board, and glad you were able to come in and join us for to talk all about the National Outdoor Track and Field Meet. Before we get into that, first off, I got to ask you guys, how was the 4th of July for you? What were you guys able to do and during the break?
Oh, I had a lot of fun. I went to the lake with my friend. He's got a nice house. Went surfing a couple times, lit off some fireworks, just the usual stuff.
I had it was a long but good weekend. So one of my brothers was able to come home, so we spent a little bit of time with him. And then when he left, I went with some other friends up to Metagoshi, so I kind of was all around, but it was a good weekend.
Hey, all kinds of fun to be had all around. As always, every 4th of July usually goes that way. And, hey, nothing beats the lake, honestly.
No, sir.
Yeah, but so moving on here, tell us about the National Outdoor Track and Field Meet for the people watching or listening that don't know about it.
Well, personally, I didn't know a whole lot about it either. I just knew that once I'd qualify for it, actually Kobe sent me the link and everything. And so we just had to register on our own, and we were unattached, which means we weren't sponsored by the school or anything. But yeah, we went there and got to compete in a big field, and it was sick.
Yeah, there's a mark you have to get to be able to go. And once I hit that, you register and you get 2 days for them to look at it, and then they'll let you know if you're accepted or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And then me and Grayson both got accepted, and then it's a massive track meet. A whole bunch of great athletes there. It's pretty sick.
Massive. We'll get more into that in a little bit here, just talking the size of the events and stuff. But so that was actually a good segue into my next question. I was going to ask, how did this opportunity come about? You guys had to qualify in your respective high school events. I was also going to ask some of the qualifications, but again, you guys just touched on that. Once you found out that you guys were going to this, what was the reaction like?
I was so excited because no thrower has ever been to national track meet for Minot High. And then I told my parents, I was like, you think I could go? And they're like, if you actually want to, we're down to bring you. So I was pretty excited.
Yeah, for me, I had realized that I had hit the qualifying mark, but I was still undecided if I was going to go or not, just because I was so unfamiliar with it. But I knew Kobe was going to go, and then we were able to put some travel plans together, and my whole family not my whole family, but my sister and my parents who still live here, we were able to go out and make a little vacation out of it too, which that was really cool.
Yeah.
We'll also talk about things to do in Philadelphia later on, so a little bit of foreshadowing for you boys and for the audience. But so that's actually, this goes into my next question, actually. So this opportunity, when you first knew that you qualified, did it happen obviously kind of during the high school season, I assume?
Yeah, so I had not qualified at all until the state meet.
And
okay.
It
was my second to last attempt, so I was just barely qualified.
And for me, I looked at it a month before because I was just curious, and I heard it was a cool track meet to go to. And I was coming into state, I was 5 inches short of the marks. I was like, dang, I'm really not gonna be able to go. but then I threw like an 11-foot PR in like my first throw, so then I was easily qualified for that.
Well, and fortunate for you guys, you were able to go, and these are, of course, other high school athletes around the nation. Just how cool was it to be a part of this singular group of athletes? Did you recognize anybody? Did you know any names by chance? I mean, obviously, people like Cooper Flagg maybe weren't there. I'm not up to date on my popular high school people, but did you see any or make any friends, see any names that you recognize there?
I mean, as a thrower, you always make friends throwing like discus or whatever. You always talk to someone next to you while you're there. But personally, I met Quincy. Well, I didn't meet him, but I saw him compete. Quincy Wilson. He's going to the Olympics now for the
nice
4x4. So yeah, that was pretty awesome watching him run. He's really good.
Yeah, and I'm a little different. When I'm competing, I like to be locked in, so I don't talk to other people as much. So I wish I would have been able to interact a little bit more with the other athletes just because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But I was still able to see some cool, like some really good athletes like Quincy, and then like that's the first one that comes to mind. I was on the field doing my event while he was running, so I took a little break and saw him. And now it's going to be cool to watch him in Paris.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Olympics touch there too. Did you guys, looking at other events that you guys didn't compete in, did you take anything away from those, or what was it like watching?
Well, the biggest thing for like that stuck out to me was how, like, obviously North Dakota is small, but we think times and marks are good here, and then we go there and it's just a whole nother world.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really compete like I wanted to, but like people were throwing like 200 feet, which is just absurd, like crazy.
Yeah.
Man, that is really far, and I'm just talking like, yeah, these people come from everywhere. So there's a lot of whole different backgrounds and personalities that to be there had to have been, such a surreal experience. And of course, let's get into the nitty gritty. Tell us about some of the events you guys competed in. Obviously, Kobe, you were mentioning throwing for a bit. Tell us about the events and how you think you guys did.
For discus, I mean, I only went for discus. That's the only one I qualified for. But I personally wish I would have competed better. I feel like I wasn't really in the zone like I usually am. Didn't get as much sleep as I usually do, and the way they did it was a little different. Like usually I get like 10, 12 warm-ups, but in Philly I only got 3, so that was a lot different. But yeah, I threw like 20 feet under my PR, which wasn't good, but it happens. It's experience that matters,
How about for you, Grayson?
So I went for triple jump, and that's the only one I qualified in too. And to kind of touch on what Kobe said, like we weren't really prepared to like PR because during the track season, especially for field events like us, like we train all year to be ready to be our best at the state meet. And that's what we both did. And so having this 2 weeks after that, and we weren't really practicing like we usually do, like it was just a little bit off. And then we spent the couple days before just walking around and sightseeing and everything, so my body was a little worn out, and I don't want to make an excuse or anything, but I ended up 1.5 feet under my PR, so it wasn't like really, really bad, but it wasn't like I was hoping for.
No, I'm sure it had to have been, like there had to have been, some overwhelming sensation of, oh man, you guys are in Philly, this is the national outdoor track and field meet, so it's totally valid, like the how you guys felt, the results that came through. I know obviously no excuses. You wanted to do as good as you could or good as you can at it, but just kind of tell us, the differences with the national meet compared to the ones we have here in North Dakota.
So the biggest takeaway was that we were on our own. We didn't have our team. We did have a coach go. Kobe can talk a little bit about that. But personally, like there wasn't a jumper coach there with me that I've always had at meets. So I was a little bit on my own. So I had to figure it out on my own. And then they actually only had I think it was a 34-foot board, which I've never jumped on that. And like around here we have, I think, 36, and they had either 41 or 34, something like that. So it was just a little bit of a different feel. But, I mean, other than that, it was just about competing and enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, the throwing area, the discus area, the net was like the net that surrounds it was way bigger. I mean, that doesn't really affect me, but that's just the difference. And yeah, there wasn't like anyone we knew there. Obviously, like just a couple people, family members, and my coach. She came along, which was, I mean, she helped me get warmed up, tell me what to do, focus up, and yeah, that was huge having her there for sure.
And having that support staff definitely had to have eased the tension, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And being there, tell us about the stadium. Obviously, it had to have been quite the scene compared to like where you go to Bismarck or to Dwayne Carlson.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest field we have, I'm pretty sure, is Bismarck, the Bowl, I'm guessing. But that's like nothing compared to Franklin Field. I mean, Franklin Field holds like 70,000 people or something like that.
Ooh.
I think it's up to like
90,000, but yeah, it's just way bigger. The atmosphere is way different.
Yeah, there's if Jerry Stye is listening, there's maybe a little thing I could include in one of my grad school assignments. Where we're actually talking about funding college football stadiums right now. So 90,000 seats. That is quite a monster there.
Yeah.
And so, anything that you guys had to adjust to, of course, being in a different city, a bigger market. Were there any new rules? And this was also fairly early into the summer, so it's not like you guys weren't having to shovel any snow.
Yeah, so a big difference for sure was just the traffic on the way from like our hotel to the stadium, because we're used to getting everywhere in like 10 minutes. That's not the case. So we had to wait in pretty heavy traffic, rush hour in the morning and stuff. And then we also had to like take Ubers or Lyfts, whatever it was, to get around. And we're not totally used to that here, but it was just a little bit different.
Yeah, like he said, like the 10-minute drives were taking 40, 45 minutes just to get there because there's so much traffic. And then I'd say the heat too, like 95 degrees I think it was when we competed, and
Yeah.
Minot hasn't seen much of that this year, so that was also a big difference.
No, we might just be hitting 90 for the first time this summer coming up this week. So, boy, dealing with the heat, man, there's a lot of adversity being had there. But speaking of, tell us the numbers of the events. We'll dive into some of these now. Is it the same number of people per event as high school, or in the course is it bigger, smaller? Give us some input on that.
For the triple jump, I know there was 3 flights, and I want to say there was 17 athletes per flight. So that's usually around here we do like 8 or 9 athletes per flight, just so like they go a little bit quicker and you can stay loose for a shorter period of time. But yeah, it's just such a bigger scale, and obviously there's kids that hit the qualifying mark that didn't go to the meet because like that would just be hectic. So it was just a little bit like it was a bigger stage, obviously, so we had to get used to that a little bit.
What was the question again? Sorry.
Oh yeah, tell us, Kobe. For your event, the discus, was it the same number of people like for high school, or is there smaller number of people or a bigger number of people competing compared to high school?
Usually we have like 4 to 5 flights of 8 to 9 people, or 8, 9, or 10. But we had 5 flights of 17 to 18 people, which is like 83, I think it was, which is way different because when you be warming up, usually I'm warming up like 2 flights before, but I warmed up like the middle of the flight before me because they took so long, so that was different too.
Yeah, were there any, speaking of, were there any wait times? Like what you mentioned earlier, Kobe, prep, where you got less reps, before you started competing. Tell us about some of those differences and expand on that.
Yeah, like I said, warming up in like state like Bismarck or Minot, I usually get like 15 warm up throws, like at least, and then get like 3 more in the ring or whatever. But they didn't have a practice ring there, which was sucked, but it is what it is. So, like, yeah, 3-4 warm-ups is all I had.
Anything to add, Grayson, to that?
Yeah, so when we're around here, especially this year, it was a little bit chilly. So both of us, we're used to warming up in the cold weather, so that means we have pants, jackets, sweatshirts, everything. And it was 90 plus there, so like it doesn't take as much to get a sweat going, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, I kind of messed up my warm up. I warmed up a little too early and got myself ready too early, so I had to wait around a little bit, and that kind of threw me off. But I mean, it was still just like that didn't really affect me. I was still ready to go.
Yeah, like we mentioned, a lot of people at this event. And tell us your guys', let's talk a little more positivity. What was your favorite part of the meet itself? Was it just being in Philly, or being just the chance to compete, or what was it?
I would say just like walking around the block. Like they had the stadium, and then just around there was just kind of a little community of stuff to see. Like there was some picture station things that we could, and they had like music playing and everything. So it was just a cool environment to be at, just because we're not used to that at all.
I would say like just watching all the events and how good everyone is at every event. Because in North Dakota, you don't always get to see like some people like are good at some events like pole vault. I don't think we had too many crazy jumpers, but people are jumping like 17 feet. Like it's just watching all those events. Everyone's good, so it's fun to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
So Kobe, you mentioned earlier that I think it was no other Minot High student athlete in discus had been to this, correct?
Yeah, I think
discus thrower.
Any thrower in general.
Any thrower. Okay. Did the coach tell you guys, like, were you the first people at this, or where did they tell you of previous student athletes at Minot High that were able to compete in this thing, or were you guys the first ones?
What I know is I didn't hear. They never told me anyone else went to New Balance. At least there's like a couple other nationals, but what I heard is we were like the first ones to go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
No, that is really cool to be trailblazing for the school, especially with the split that is going to be happening here pretty soon with Minot North coming into play here. And speaking of, talk us about the high school season. How you guys just kind of give a quick recap of the season, how you guys did overall. Obviously, a testament to what you guys were able to do, qualifying for nationals, competing at state. But just tell us overall, how you guys felt.
I'll piggyback off of what you just talked about the split. So my jumping coach was Drew Hishlin, and he's going to North to coach basketball.
Oh, man.
And so he's going to be done with track now. And this season, he was coaching both Minot North and Minot High, like we were together. So it was a different dynamic just because, like, I would only see him for a little bit when I was jumping, but then he would be off with his guys for the most part. So it just took some adjusting, and, like, we just had to adapt to what we had, and we shared the Dwayne Carlson to practice with them. So, like, we were still competing with them, like, at practice, and that helped us get better too.
I love practice. I mean, all our coaches, they're all great. They all are really good at what they do. Our javelin coach, he threw at UND. My discus coach was like number 1, number 2 in the nation in high school. So, yeah. I blanked.
Hey, that's all right.
I also have to give a shout out to Coach Esco. He helped out a lot.
There you
too.
go.
So I want to make sure to get him in there.
No, shout out, Coach. Yeah, we'll get back to you in a little bit here, Coben. If you do remember, feel free to pardon the interruption. But advice for the students who may get this opportunity in the future.
Well, I think the way that I looked at it as it's a opportunity that not many people get to have. So it'd be kind of stupid, I guess, to not take the opportunity. I mean, obviously there's other factors that might stop people from going, but if you have the opportunity and you can go, you should definitely go after it.
I think the younger students, younger athletes, seeing us do this, they'll be more motivated to like actually do it, because before no one's ever done it, so they're like, oh, what is it? I've never heard of it. But now that they know it's a thing, they can push and to achieve that goal.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Always part of the food chain, the younger athletes looking up to the upperclassmen. And I also want to get your guys' thoughts on the addition of Minot North now full-time this upcoming school year. How do you guys view it? Is it exciting? Is it obviously a lot of change, of course, but how do you guys view it? Exciting, a little indifferent, or what are your thoughts?
Well, for me, going into my senior year, I'm pretty amped up just to be able to compete against them because we've obviously never had two schools, and so being part of this original split is pretty special, and I can't wait to go compete against them.
Me personally, I'm not gonna be there next year, so it's not really gonna affect me. But I think it was much needed. Minot High was one of the biggest schools with the most athletes and most students. But then we only have one school. But now we got it split. So I think that's gonna be really good. More competition, more like for other sports. There's not enough spots for everyone on the team. So now there will be more options for more people to play.
And I think the rivalry.
Yeah,
we've heard a lot about that already, but I think it's going to be deep and it's going to be pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's going to really up the ante. And let me tell you now, seeing Central Middle School downtown just feels so wrong.
Yeah.
And I remember growing up, it was always, Ramstead versus Jim Hill. Mm-hmm. But now you put Central Middle School in there. It's like, I think you guys have seen the dragon meme before. There's just the two dragons, the one that they big, strong, tough, and then the one's just looking at the side all confused, and then the third one's just got its tongue sticking out. That's what I think of Central Middle School right now. It just, man, but hey, this is an unprecedented time for Minot, but it's going to be, like you guys said, creating new opportunities, new competitions, new rivalries, and we're going to have all sorts of coverage. Well, hopefully we'll see. Obviously got some Minot State grad assistant duties to take care of, but we're going to try and make it to some Minot North games just to check it out and see what that is all about. And, they're getting along in the process of the construction. Away from Minot North here, guys, let's go back into Philadelphia here. What else did you guys attend to while you were in town?
The first couple of days, I didn't really do much. I mean, the first day, I watched a lot of the events, and then second day, I competed. But then, I think it was the third day I watched Grayson compete, and after that, I went on this bus tour where they took you around, and then we got off once, and it was at the Rocky Steps. That was fun.
Oh, nice.
Run up those, take a picture next to Rocky, raising his hands, and then
love that.
Saw a lot more stuff that you wouldn't think is in Philly than you actually know.
Have you guys ever seen an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Or
I don't think
I'm
I have.
familiar.
Hey, that's totally fine. Yeah, it's over my head too. Anyways, that's way before my time too. It just kind of being silly there, but I got a picture with Rocky. Some things about Philly you guys did not know that you learned over that time span.
Well, we did a little bit of research going into it, just to, we looked up what to do, what places to see and stuff. And so I don't know if I'd say there's a whole lot of stuff that really stood out to me because I was just expecting the unexpected already. So whatever we got to do or whatever we got to see, I was happy to see it.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much unexpected like he said, but I mean, there was a lot of obviously way bigger buildings in North Dakota, massive town, a lot of super high buildings that have the highest rankings in U.S. or whatever. But yeah, besides that, I don't think there was much unexpected things that I saw.
There is one thing when we were flying in, I looked out the window and I didn't realize how many shipyards and stuff were around, and so the airport's right next to one of the main rivers. So the whole river is just covered in bridges, big, fancy steel bridges, and that's not stuff we get to see a whole lot. So I was pretty interested in that aspect.
Guessing a lot of Embiid Sixers jerseys, any Bryce Harper jerseys walking around town, or I guess Jalen Hurts, if you will.
Yeah.
And a little bit of Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, Tyrese, yep.
Yep.
Tyrese Maxey as well. I think he just signed a new contract. Is that
Yep.
correct? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was actually gonna we were thinking about going to a Phillies game or something because they're the best MLB team in the league right now. So
Yeah.
we were gonna go to one of their games, but they had all away games while we were there, which kind of sucked. But
Man, I was actually going to ask you guys were the Phillies home by chance, and if so, did you guys go to a game? But that answered that question. Did you try any Philly cheesesteaks at all?
Yeah.
I know he did.
We apparently there's this big like rivalry between these two steak places there, and they're right across the street from each other. So my family and I, we went to both of them, and we each like took a bite of both, and they were good. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Sadly, I didn't get to try one, but it's whatever.
Hey, classic Philadelphia. Hey, a lot of fun, again, to be had around the city of brotherly love. But, guys, just let us know anything else that you wanted to touch on that we didn't get to talk about today.
The one I blanked on, I think you said, how did my season go or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, the high school season.
Yeah, since I actually remember now. I started off, my PR was 147 from last year, and state qualifying is 145. So I started off the first track meet getting the state qualifying mark, which is like nice to get that out of the way. You don't have to worry about it for the rest of the season. And then I think I PR'd like the next 3 or 4 track meets in a row, which is really good. And then I PR'd I got like that 165, I'm pretty sure. And then I went like 3 weeks without that, and then went to state and got that 176.
There you go. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add, Grayson, to the conversation? Anything, any future plans I should also mention?
Well, track-wise, I competed in a few different events other than just triple jump. And so those other events obviously didn't go as well, and it was a bit of a struggle, but I was just happy to stay healthy and stay just fortunate enough to get to PR and do really well.
Yeah, I threw shot put and javelin as well, but I came up an inch short of qualifying in shot put, which really sucked. And then javelin, I was like 5-10 feet short.
Talk to us about we're just about done here, guys, but both of you talk about your future plans. Grayson, obviously senior year coming up, and just preview the school year. And Kobe, you're going elsewhere, I believe, to Jamestown for football. Tell us about your guys' future plans, and go ahead.
I'm going for football and track. So I go to Jamestown August 5th to start getting ready for football. And then I'm not really sure how the indoor season will work because I think that's kind of around the time of football still. But I know I will be competing outdoor. Not sure which events yet because there's like 4 events that I can do: discus, hammer, shot put, javelin. But I'm going to for sure do discus and hammer. Not sure about the other 2.
Yeah, and then for me, I'm in 3 sports coming up, so my summer has been a lot of training for those and staying active. And so I got my tennis season coming up in the fall, and then we got basketball in the winter, which I'm really pumped about. We're going to have a good team coming back.
Sweet.
And then obviously track in the spring, and then we'll see what happens after that. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, and I'll pass this episode along to college coaches. I know Minot State just hired a new track and field coach, and I'll be sure to get you guys some reps there. But anything else you guys like to mention before we sign off here?
I don't believe so.
We'd just like to say thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And,
No?
it was a fun
no
time,
problem.
and we're glad we got to do this.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for being on the show today. And again, that was Kobe Irmen and Grayson Schaeffer following their time at the National Outdoor Track and Field Meet in Philadelphia. Boys, thank you again for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that'll do it here, folks. Again, you just watched or listened to another great interview on the Minot Sports Podcast. You just heard Grayson Schaeffer and Kobe Irmen. The National Outdoor Track and Field Meet in Philadelphia was an experience for these two and a great opportunity if students in the future get an opportunity themselves to go. They say take it while you can, and also learning more about Philly cheesesteaks and all cool differences between Philly and Minot. But that is going to do it here, folks. We're actually just reached 30 minutes time on this podcast, so that is, I think, a good time to sign off there. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I'm your host, Colt Clementich. We'll be back with another episode here pretty shortly. Again, another update. Hartnett Hall still undergoing just got done with a huge renovation, but then a huge water leak, so they're still cleaning things up. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we will be back there in the near future, aiming for before the school year starts. But obviously, things can change in a hurry. But hoping for all the best. So we're still in Swain Hall for the time being, and that is going to do it, guys. We want to thank you for again watching or listening and signing off. You guys have a good rest of your day, and be sure to go out to some Hot Tots, Honeybees, Vistas, or Metros games while you can. And with that, peace out.